So, hello everyone. This is chapter 23, the crisis and the black male slash black female relationship. Is it a false problem? From the ISIS papers by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. And me and Mary had decided on starting this chapter discussion by opening up by reading the first two paragraphs. So I'll read the first one, and she'll read the second one. But before that, I would like to just give you guys a summary on, what you thought of the chapter, how to make you feel, and I'm just gonna go ahead and popcorn Mary to open this up.
Okay, for me, I really enjoyed this chapter because it's a question that's been looming. That I've had from the beginning of me understanding just as children were growing to understand that we are to partner up or be with the opposite sex, or like you just want to be loved in a sense. And then when you experience rejection based on our earliest programming of what you find beautiful, or pre-selection of who you want to mate with, the first thing you think is, oh, a black man wouldn't want me, which is kind of me understanding that this is a programmed thought. This chapter, my summary of this chapter is just that I'm just grateful that Dr. Frances Cress Welsing has actually laid this out in a way that's allowed me to be able to pinpoint the points that we need to work on, pinpoint the points uh, that we need to heal from, and giving us guidelines of ways to actually overcome it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to like dissecting this chapter with everybody.
Thank you so much. I'll jump in. So I really enjoyed this chapter because it provides a lot of context to why I'm kind of seeing the relationship dynamics that I'm seeing manifest in today's society. Um, so is the problem a false problem? I love that question because it's kind of a double entendre. Yes and no. It's definitely a problem that has been manufactured and by the white supremacist system. And so it's a problem that naturally wouldn't exist. Of course, black males and black females and black men and black women would probably have small debacles over nonsensical things that are not like life and death. Of course, that's normal. Like people have small domestic conflicts, but like the global problem that has been manifested, like the extreme disrespect from both ends, would that be here today without a engineered, manufactured, industry making it our reality? Would that be a problem still? I don't think so. So yeah, I love this chapter because it provides context to all that. Um, give a summary or
It's more than a summary, but
oh
yeah,
yeah.
this right here is the glue that's gonna, or the therapy. That's the solution. This is the ultimate solution. The relationship between the queen and the king, the queen godmother and the king godfather, um, and for us to fall back in love and to cooperate with each other, and at the time be like Nelson and Winnie, who looked at what, how does she put it? The global collective. Uh, Look at the global collective rather than as specifically what you said, when the black male and the black female simply define their joint struggle in terms of achieving education, housing, jobs, and money, rather than as specifically countering the global and local dynamic for white genetic survival. We are attempting to function with the wrong game manual with all of the wrong rules. So I mean, I know we're going to get into all that later, but the
Yeah,
beauty
the
of
opening of this chapter is just so powerful that me and Trey decided that we should read it out loud, just to
I
like open. Trey, did you want to read the first half or?
Yes, yes. Please. My iPad died, so I'm on my laptop. Bear with me for a second, folks.
You can read the second half while you're looking for it. I can go ahead.
No, I haven't, and I already wanted to read the first half. Um, Chapter 23, the crisis in black male / black female relationships. Is it a false problem? July 1985. Disenchantment with the institution of marriage, disharmony, disrespect, separation, divorce, single female-headed household, the norm. The absence of male models for developing black children and youth. Epic levels of teenage pregnancy, thousands of children abandoned in foster care and adoption, black male bisexuality and homosexuality, black female bisexuality and homosexuality, increasing numbers of black females with more education and income than their black male counterparts, hardly any black persons knowing 5 happy black couples.
Given these dynamics as ever-present realities in the Black community, it would seem that there is a crisis of immense and serious proportions in the Black male and Black female relationship. In the final decades of the 20th century, this crisis has far-reaching ramifications that touch every aspect of Black life, extending into facets of the larger social order. During the past decade, this apparent problem has been seminared, dialogued, discussed, debated, probed, and shouted about from every conceivable angle. Innumerable remedies have innumerable remedies have been proposed. No matter from the angle this issue is approached, the problems don't disappear. Instead, they seem to multiply, and the alienation between the Black male and Black female just increase. If the Black male and female alienation is not resolved, is there hope for a meaningful future for the Black race? Very, very important question posed at the end of that, end of the second paragraph. And I just feel like it's a major question that it may take us a long time to answer, but if we can get this into the awareness of every majority of the Black male, Black female's minds, we can like at least start practicing empathy and compassion with one another while we are on the journey of understanding how to fully remove this feelings of alienation and practice healthy emotional relationships with one another.
Yeah, and also the alienation. That alienation is because this society is literally designed to beat us down and alienate ourselves from ourselves. So when we enter relationships, we're carrying that trauma and we're projecting those behavior patterns that lead to the dismantling of our relationships. And I think this is a perfect way to segue into what I wanted to read on page 277, because Mary said, like, hopefully more people can be on this wave where they're talking about these things and having their relationships, have a unified, codified, you know, have a codified, meaning that they're on the same goal, they're on the same page, or they're at least working towards one similar goal. So on page 277, it reads, failure to analyze the white supremacy system dynamic deeply is a tragedy because this dynamic is the fundamental cause of the failed relationships between black males and black females. Integrated marriages of black males and black females during American slavery, and it currently separates the black male and the black female for 11 months out of each year in South Africa. The same white supremacy dynamic has kept Nelson and Winnie Mandela apart for over 20 years. So this is a prime example of how if these things aren't investigated and dealt with, it will continue to, separate us and allow us to destroy each other. Ben just mentioned that there was another murder where a black couple had ended up, a black youth had ended up killing his girlfriend.
Man.
If anyone has anything to add to that, I'll definitely keep going. So on page 278, I wanted to read this.
Sorry, before you read, I need to pose a question, just like for us to just have in mind about the term false problem. So first of all, I'm going to read the statement that, if that's okay, I'm just going to read the statement where Dr. Frances Cress Welsing breaks down what she means by a false problem. A false problem is one that on the surface appears to be valid, but upon closer scrutiny is only a symptom of the true problem. In the present discussion, this means that the discord between black males and black females and the failure to establish long-lasting harmonious relationships are caused by another problem. When the underlying dynamic is exposed, analyzing and understood, it is possible to remedy the symptom false problem. For me, of course, she's talking about white supremacy being the true problem and the false problem being the issues between the black male and black female. I wanted to pose a question to everybody in the group. Can we give examples of different types of false problem and true problems? And majority of the true problems will always lead to white supremacy, but what else can we describe as false problems within the black experience or our community that has affected us, our development?
I think Trey mentioned it earlier, is the manufactured problems. I think false, I could be mistaken, but I think false and manufactured is kind of the same thing.
Yep.
Where it's not really, like fear that you're gonna, you don't show up on time. Maybe your phone, maybe you're stuck in traffic and I'm expecting you at 6 o'clock, your phone dies and you don't show up until 8 o'clock. Automatically, my fear is triggered and you're off doing something with some other guy. Because I lack trust, because of the neglect from my trauma. So now I have trust issues, right? And so now I've manufactured this huge issue when it was really just, you got stuck in traffic, your phone was dead, or whatever, an unfortunate communication problem becomes a divorce issue or a violent incident. I don't know if that's a good example, but I think it's a common problem.
Yes, that makes sense to be a false problem, most definitely. China also mentioned colorism. Yeah.
I think that's something that's a false problem again. Obviously, evidently, the color, I don't think it matters what shade of brown you are at the end of the day. To be honest, that's it really. They're really making it a problem. So
and using it as a casting system to put something further in place that just further oppresses us in some level, so we can't deal with the true problem. Just
true
further
problem.
stages to get to
The true problem.
Yeah.
Like, literally. As soon as I read the definition of what a false problem is, colorism, the first thing that got into my head.
Wow.
So
That's the more manufactured bullshit.
Mhm.
Caste system.
again, probably thingy level, your how much you earn, your
classism,
classism,
class being a false problem,
I think so.
or having
classism.
access to different things. Yeah, just different
Yeah,
gymnasiums put in place for us to
not be able to reach certain classes as easily as white people. For example, when the slavery was over, when they was giving away the land apparently, but we didn't get it because of the white people were
And
getting
$5
it.
Indians were able to claim
Do you know what I'm
land based on the
saying?
fact
Yeah.
that they paid to have a social status.
Whatever it was, we wasn't able to get the land so easily, and we were promised, was it how many things on a mule?
Yeah. 40
So,
acres.
so certain things, they made it hard for us to actually get that. So now we don't have generational wealth because, do you know what I'm saying? In that time is where most of our generational wealth, to my belief, came in. So
Yeah.
we
Wow.
started
Yep,
at this time. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna use my own example. So I'm just gonna. I agree with what Ben said. On page 2, well, Mary, did you want to answer the question? Did you want to have any false problems that you wanted to share?
I'd say just the false problem of teenagers being wayward, and of course it's not a false problem because it's very real, and under the context that children are being murdered based on lack of emotional development and no emotional intelligence. But of course, I believe that's a false problem because, like the Crips and the Bloods, it's a false problem because these things were like strategically implemented or instructed in this neighborhood to go on, so that just the police apparently were the first to do a shooting that ignited the Crips and the Bloods from starting. And that in itself shows you that they created this problem, and the true problem is white supremacy. And if these people had jobs or some form of access that made them feel like they'll be able to achieve anything, they wouldn't waste their time doing it. Studies have proven that it's the lack of the resources in their environment that allow them to think that that is their only solution. So yeah, I think like gang culture is a false problem based on the true problem of white supremacy only giving them a small domain to basically make money or feel like they can contribute to.
I'm gonna share my screen. Can we read this together?
Okay.
And so I want us to read
Yeah, so we ended up on this page.
277 to 278, the first paragraph. So it's really just 2 paragraphs. So I'll read the first paragraph and then
In a bit, please.
what do you say?
I was saying to zoom in, but it's already reconfigured. No worries.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, Ben, can you read the second paragraph?
Okay.
All right. I gotta move. All right. Because whites fear white genetic annihilation, and because only males can initiate sexual intercourse forcefully, during slavery, black males were oppressed more harshly than black females. This pattern of greater pressure on the non-white male is historic and continues. This explains why black males are victimized more harshly by police brutality and arrest, and also illuminates why they are victimized most harshly by the educational system. Because of their extreme victimization in these two areas, Black males have the highest levels of unemployment and underdevelopment, the highest rates of prison incarceration, the highest incidence of school failure and school dropout rates, the highest incidence of alcoholism, the highest rates of drug use and addiction, the highest homicide rates, and the most rapidly increasing suicide rate and the shortest lifespan. Also, the Black male often finds himself outside of the Black family structure and the epidemic condition of homelessness.
This excessive and disproportionate pressure on the Black male by global white supremacy system produces a grave imbalance between the Black male and the Black female, even though both are victimized by white supremacy. This imbalance is produced what some incorrectly call Black matriarchy. However, this is not Black matriarchy, but white genetic survival necessity and its fear of the potential for genetic annihilation that the Black male represents. You want me to continue?
Hey, American, you did the third paragraph?
Yeah, no problem. Just going down.
Do you want me to zoom in or are you good?
I came out of it to go to the normal page. Is it from this consciousness?
Yeah.
Okay. This conscious and unconscious struggle for white genetic survival by the global white collective necessities certain basic and specific relationship patterns between whites and Black males and whites and Black females in all areas of life activity. An appropriate analogy is found in the game of chess. The white king, the companion white queen, and all of the other white pieces on the chessboard must move in certain specific patterns against the Black king. The Black queen and all the other Black pieces, if the white king is to checkmate the Black king, that is, of course, the main objective of the game of chess. And in the game of chess, white always makes the opening aggressive move. The Black king and do you want to read? Can you read from that chapter? The Black king and the Black queen must move in tactical and strategic harmony with one another if they are to counter the white assault successfully and defend their side of the chessboard effectively. This harmony is particularly crucial if they are to checkmate the white king. Should I continue? No. If someone with no in-depth knowledge about the game of chess sits down at the chessboard to play the Black side of the board, while an expert on the game of chess sits down on the white side of the board, the player on the Black side of the board surely will lose the game. He or she will be checkmated repeatedly. The player on the Black side simply does not understand the game. If, however, the same person who repeatedly has lost all previous games takes it upon himself/herself to sit down and master the game of chess and then to master playing the Black side of the board, through continuous hard work and study, he/she will have an excellent chance of, I'm assuming that says winning because I can't see the rest of it, of being victorious. With consistent and continuous study, he/she can become an expert, establishing a pattern of continuous wins and successes. Amen. It is much easier for white supremacy to control female-headed households, wherein Black females must confront a white male-dominated power system alone. Interesting. Okay. Further, these female-headed survival units eventually produce more passive and effeminized. Yeah. We'll Google that word after. Effeminized male offspring. Or male offspring with dysfunctional behavioral patterns, who, in many cases, eventually will be incarcerated as antisocials, continuing the necessary Black male/Black female separation.
I'll just stop right there for a second. And then let's just stop there briefly because I do have the next part highlighted as well to be read. But let's just talk about what we read for a bit. So what I'm hearing is that the Black male has been kind of like ejected from the game that white supremacists are playing, and it's up to the Black male to become knowledgeable about his positionality in this work.
Mhm.
I say positionality, I mean like where the the black man stands, and pretty much what's at stake. So what's at stake is, you know, the black male's life. For example, my life, I need to, ascend to a position where I am in the closest to power as I can get while inside a black body, and in order to sustain my genetic code through, offspring who are, who are basically groomed in a way where they'll be able to continue the gene pool in a positive manner, and also to have access to wealth, and they won't have to struggle in a way that I did, and to create a foundation of generational wealth. Like these things should be talked about, and these things should be normalized. Like that is the role. Like every single black man on planet Earth needs to be aware of white supremacy and racism, and working towards the solution. And working towards the solution can be as simple as talking about it, being codified, staying alive, being totally separated from things that are not constructive, being separated from white people who are hazardous to your life, being away from institutions that are hazardous to your life, being away from things that cause you stress. So that's what that's the first half, and that I'm reading. It's like how the black male has been kind of destroyed, and that has led to the black female being, in a way isolated and having to lead the black family alone, which puts them at an extreme disadvantage, and emotionally, like they're unable to economically provide and emotionally provide. So there's always going to be a disimbalance. So any please add some your insights, your thoughts, because I know we read a lot just now, but we need to be able to unpack and process what we just read.
The chapter is very profound. Everything that we read was just highly necessary to understand, especially the analogy of the chess. Wow. Yeah, yeah. I remember playing chess. I never really got my head around playing chess growing up. I got to play it a little bit when I was older, but that's that analogy of somebody sitting on the other side, and the white side has to make a move first, and you don't know. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to lose every time. You can keep playing, but you're going to lose every time because they're just like one step ahead of you. And just the thought of having to protect the black queen, or protect the king, the fact that the pawns, I believe, are the zombies, the people who are not aware, and the black kings and queens are like people who like let's say are the Malcolm X's or the Assata Shakurs or the time that are actually using their senses and passion to actually, like Dr.Frances Cress Welsing, using her senses and passion. She used the area of books and education. So it's like it can go on the wraps. People say like if you want to hide something from black people, put it in a book. But Assata Shakur was very physical and active. And when you physically do something active, it makes people, and they take in that information, they're like, okay, I should physically be active towards this. So that person is suppressed, put in the side, or that queen is checkmated instantly. And that is the game of white supremacy. And understanding this analogy, and at least even practicing chess, because if you look at movies, I watch X-Men and Magneto and what's his name? I know I keep jumping, but it all comes together to make sense. Professor X and Magneto always play chess, and they're supposed to be mutants, black people. They represent two different philosophies, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. They represent these two, but they're constantly, no matter them being enemies, they always are playing chess with one another because they understand they're in a game together. That at the end of the day, they have to play it, so they have to learn how to be strategic with it. And I feel like no matter what side you are on, the male, female, or having different opposing things that we have to work together and understand the game of chess so that we can play our white first moving aggressive counterparts just as yeah, just meet them at checkmate rather than being angry and calling people evil. Just counter me like, haha, checkmate me now. Like just play them at their own game.
That was profound. Both of your analysis of this reading was above my pay grade. What I got out of it was uh, the power dynamic that she was pointing out, and the power dynamic within the relationship having been dictated to the relationship by white supremacy. So now that since slavery, the women have more action in the big house. They can go in and get food and get favors and get supplies or whatever. She had more action all the way up until today, strategically, given more opportunities in education and so on and so forth, and income. And I think it's important for her to acknowledge that and not. It's a hard call because you have more access and more power because you have more access, and that gives you more authority. So that's emasculating to the man. And in order for us, we have a different dynamic than white people do for that reason. The white male has the access in his relationship more so. The Black woman has the access in our relationship. So how do we bring that into the balance in our psychosocial, our psycho-emotional relationship? How do we negotiate that, right? When you have the sisters that are flexing power over the man. Now, we're not talking about ego tripping. What I'm talking about is a healthy understanding between a Black man and a Black woman. Not, well, the one with the gold makes the rules. Since I got the money, I got the gold, I'm the shot caller. No. Where are our roles and our responsibilities? And that's why it's so important for us to understand as men and women, Black men and Black women, our roles and our responsibilities. Because that's a hard one to overcome when the woman has more access and you have a man with a damaged, traumatized ego, fragile ego that needs, and so understanding the game. What do we mean understanding the game? There's a step even before understand. Even to understand the game, we have to understand who we are and what position and of power that we are actually at. Not the false problem, but the real problem, right? The real issue is that we really do have the power. And how do we access that? And and I can tell you that this system, this relationship system that we model ourselves after is weak because it's based on the white Western model of they compete with each other. It's dominance, male dominance, and initially, and then with this so-called women's live movement, where women want equality, and the standard for power and prestige and money is the same. Whereas, with this women's live and this equality movement, it's the same when we have different standards of success. You know, the standard for success for the woman is a happy family. The standard for success for the man is money, property, and prestige by nature, inertly, right? And so it's for us to complement and cooperate with each other and use our strengths to strengthen each other and to because we have strengths and weaknesses by nature, masculine and feminine. So we have to understand our strengths and our weaknesses as males and females, and then acquiesce that. Like, for example, intelligence. You know, intelligence is something that and we all have both, right? We all have both, but intelligence is more female than it is male. It's more feminine than it is masculine because it involves creativity and spirituality. But the standard for intelligence is based on logic in patriarchal society. It's based on strictly logic, mathematics, um, logic. And so the spiritual and the creative and the connection to nature and beauty is kind of is diminished. So I'm just saying that that's just an example. We have to, and the solution is to go back to our culture, the relationship between the African king and the African queen, how they're connected to nature, and our natural roles and responsibilities. And we do that. That is going to be the key to regaining power and really taking the whole world back, taking it back. Is going to be the relation, our cooperative quality relationship we have with our women and men in our couples. That's it. But we have to understand it from an African cultural perspective. Not a Western, not from what the white man is talking about. We got to go. We have to go back to our culture. We got to start wearing our clothes. We got to start, understanding, some of the language. When you understand some of the language, like I'm understanding, it changes your understanding of your culture. Words have different meanings, different schools of thought. It's a different way of relating when you understand your like the Swahili language. We all should be. That's the unifying language of East Africa. I think we all should be studying Swahili myself, to give us a better understanding of ourselves. We got to understand and love ourselves, our culture, and make our own rules in our relationships. And we have to totally throw out the Western white man's worldview when it comes to relationships, because it's patriarchal, it's abusive, and destructive. I don't know.
No, you made very, very, very points.
So that was very, very profound. It definitely, I agree. There's many interwebs connecting this. It's a conundrum. So so I have the next two paragraphs highlighted. I think before I read it, I want us all to just read to one at a time. The first sentence and the second paragraph on page 279. So we can bring up your books. I'll go first. I just want us to all read this so we can just all speak it into the universe. Stabilize union between the black male and the black female means the eventual end to white supremacy.
When the black male and female
I meant read the same thing I have read. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
I'm gonna read the paragraph after everyone does that once, but yeah.
Okay. Stabilized union between the black male and the black female means the eventual end of white supremacy.
Stabilized union between the black male and the black female means the eventual end to white supremacy.
Stabilized union between the black male and the black female means the eventual end to white supremacy. When the black male and the black female simply define their joint struggle in terms of achieving education, housing, jobs, and money, rather than as specifically countering the global dynamic for white genetic survival, white supremacy, we are attempting to function with the wrong game manual. The global and local white collectives consciously and slash or unconsciously have mastered white genetic survival strategies in all areas of life activity. Thus, we as blacks are being checkmated continuously by the local and global white collectives. We are the victims of white supremacy who spend most of our time squabbling, struggling, and fighting with one another. Thus, matters go from bad to worse, especially in such critical areas as the black male slash black female relationship, the very foundation of the black nation. So yeah, I really agree with this statement because it's like I feel like a lot of people will say black man, like the black race is not connected. The black race is jumbled up. The black race is not really leaders. All of those things are are can be said to be true, but what I do know is true, and then that has strong repercussions, is the fragmented relationship between black males and black females, and if that relationship is not better managed and better sustained and tethered in a positive way, there can never be like a black quote unquote leader that everyone will like rally behind and support because black men and black women are not in mass areas together on the unified front. So there's all these scatters of black people. So you only get half of the support. That's just one of my theories. It's one of my theories. Um, Anyone have anything to respond to what I just read? Um, if not, I'm gonna read the second paragraph afterwards. Any responses?
I actually highlighted that too. I read it at the beginning. That the hard one to overcome, placing a collective joint struggle before education, housing, jobs, money. Yeah, that's the wedge right there that drives relationships apart. The number one cause for divorce is finance. It's always about money.
Yep,
So,
and yep.
so anyway, yeah, that's all I got.
The white supremacists go out of their way to ensure that the black male has a hard time finding work, hard time sustaining the family, hard time providing, the economic stability.
One thing I noticed as well growing up in a black household, like if money was there, everything was like fine. Like even if you did have problems, like you got on because everybody had like a square meal. But if as soon as money wasn't around, the arguments were louder. There was just a noticeable strain in the house sometimes.
So I wanted to read from 279. until now, we have attempted to function as united black males and black females with no knowledge of exactly how the white supremacy dynamic must drive the black male and the black female apart. Therefore, we have failed in the past and we continue to fail in this relationship. If we understood white supremacy, the number one priority for each black male and black female would not be to reach out for one another with designs of dependency, love, lust, or marriage. Instead, we will seek to master specific patterns of perception, logic, thought, speech, action, and emotional response that would counter the white supremacy dynamic scientifically. We would codify such behaviors and practice them day and night. We would become single-minded in our activity, knowing that unless the global and local white supremacy is attacked continuously and effectively, the black male slash black female relationship has no chance of surviving.
I love that. I love that. Rick. Oh wow.
I love
She
that
always,
as well. It's very to me. It's so it's just so accurate. It's like so. This is a priority that needs to be made a priority. This is a very solution that's gonna affect us all every single day. That's to solve. Um, and what are you saying, man?
I, man, she always does that. She lists this almost like these impossible permanent problems, and then comes with a fireball solution.
Yeah.
I'm a real solution. Specific patterns instead of instead of reaching out, and she's speaking to me personally. You know, uh, do not reach out for one another with designs of dependency, love, lust, and marriage. Those are Western bull. That's white. That's that Western fairy tale crap. So now we're at the very beginning of changing our speech, our patterns of perception, logic, thought, speech, emotional response. So we don't get to react, we get to respond. When someone offends us, microaggressions or aggressions or racial attacks, we get to think about it. We don't get to emotionally react. We get to respond now and think and and use intelligence to totally rip them down and rip them apart. You know, like when
Yep.
the lady said, like when the lady said to my cousin, it's not fair that you get to shop in the same place that I get to shop. And my response would have been, why? Because my ancestors weren't murderers and thieves and rapists. Because that's the reason you have anything and everything that you have. We have to be prepared and have be ahead of the curve and be ready for our responses and our education to these people and our checking them and put them in place at all times. Have that ready for them. You know, the reason that you have privilege, the reason that you have everything that you have is because you are benefiting from criminal murder. And I just keep reminding these white folks that anytime they start getting a little cocky, hey, you have what you have because you're murderers. And it takes them down a peg, takes them off their high horse. You know, you're rapist.
Totally, I totally agree. I think it's necessary to have these helpful reminders in place because they'll do their best to make like savagery and conquering seem like the most civilized and like elitist thing to do, like the choice of sports of hunting and murdering bears and killing like endangered species as for sport, like constantly reminded them that this is not the way, that this is not a way of operating and living. Is highly necessary, because the more that we ignore it, like what there's a statement that said a good, all it takes is for a good person to ignore racism to basically contribute to racism, white supremacy. Yeah, and by including it in our code to stand up against fear, and stand up in terms of letting white people know, most white generational wealth, letting them know exactly where, how it was accumulated, and not applying guilt, but just applying a level of this is does not equate for me to value or respect you. I do not have to give you the respect that I should give myself because you are elitist or able to, you was able to acquire murder and pillaged, raped generational wealth. You know, just reapplying the knowledge allows us to automatically apply a level of self-respect and treat ourselves with a certain level of more dignity, rather than treating people with who have more money with more dignity and respect. Just yeah.
Reminds me of the Queen. I saw the Queen on the news yesterday for something or
Mhm.
rather. And you know, what gives her the right? What gives them and who are we to stand by idly and not say anything about that obscene wealth? Well, she had to move from the castle to the palace. And as a result of all of their capitalist colonization and murder and just, I mean, people are still are suffering because of that. And the society is so conditioned and brainwashed that even the news commentators and the common people, common folk, oh, the queen. They smile about the queen. They lift the queen up. They admire the queen, the fucking murdering, thieving queen. I mean, I need a sniper for her, you know? I need a sniper rifle for all of them, you know? Take that castle and that money and take it to Africa to wherever you got it. And take that art back and you know,
Definitely need to reclaim our wealth. We definitely need to reclaim our wealth. That should be incorporated into our code, reclaiming our own wealth in, through these museums. Anything that makes money, that profits um off of our legacies and our history, we need to reclaim that most certainly.
we need, you know, there needs to be an international lawsuit at the UN, United States and UK need to be brought up on crimes against humanity, um, for the genocide of the indigenous peoples of this land and Africa. And they need to be held accountable, and they already came up with a dollar sign for the slave trade. If they based it on the average minimum wage over the last 200 years or whatever, that they owe us $20 trillion. The descendants of the ADOS, the American descendants of slaves. And we need lawsuit. Haiti needs to sue, like we discussed. I think they are suing France for 90 million. You know, these countries need to individually sue the UK for but they're afraid of it. They're puppets. Like Uhuru Kenyatta is a puppet. You know, my namesake, the king of the president of Kenya. He's a puppet of the UK.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately.
Every African president is a corrupt dictator. Every one of them. There's
They
not
have to
one.
be figureheads, otherwise they wouldn't be presidents. If they could do anything that's substantially beneficial to these African continents, they wouldn't be in place. White supremacy wouldn't allow it to be so. And I'll never forget my mother telling me one time when Ebola was happening, in Sierra Leone, and like there was a lot of information going around as to how it's happening, like how is it actually done. It was found out that it was an American painting that was made in laboratories and then sent over there and put into the waters to affect the people, just like how cholera would affect them hygienically. That's exactly the same way they did it through waters or like streams, like the places where people waters that are used for their clothes, for drinking. And the fact that this information was passed on to the president, and my mother said the president had said we are at the mercy of white people. So if the president is stating we are at the mercy of white people, what do we have left to actually do as a country? If that's what the president is already saying. What decisions can they make if their mentalities are already defeated? The country's at the mercy of the president's mentality, and he's at the mercy of white people. So it was a shame to actually hear that. But this is another, just like Dr. Cress Welsing states, she talks about the apartheid. I'm going to read the part in that, but I think it's important. Calling things by their name and calling them out is going to like shatter a level of awareness in people that will have no choice but to have everyday conversations about it. Because well, we do talk about white supremacy on a daily basis, but we're not aware that that's what it is. Because we disguise it in so many different ways. Like I never heard the term white supremacy growing up, but I surely should have learned that in my history class. Instead, okay, look what Dr. Frances Cress Welsing talks about here, where she talks about the apartheid. The largest unified movement presently occurring amongst Black people is the demonstrations against apartheid in South Africa. Although many people use the word apartheid only in reference to South Africa, the fundamental meaning of apartheid is white supremacy, white rule, and and domination over Blacks and other other non-whites. Um, this very same dynamic with its many variations depend upon the particular geographic location. In its more highly refined forms, it exists worldwide, wherever and whenever whites have come into contact with peoples who possess the genetic potential to produce melanin in their skin. Amongst many other horrible things, the system of white minority rule in South Africa legally enforces prolonged separation of black male and black female, causing fragmentation of the Black family life. I will stop it there, but the point that in the making that I really wanted to make was the fact that we all understood what apartheid was growing up, but the terminology white supremacy and white domination and white rule is not something that we made synonymous, and I didn't understand that growing up, because if that was the case, there would be no point in my life understanding that white people kind of run everything around me, including in my home country. I would have understood that racism still exists, rather than having some kind of thoughts at any point of my life where I thought racism was reducing or we have it better than slavery. In fact, we have it worse because we didn't know that we were being oppressed, and that's the worst form of oppression. Because you need like a mental health breakdown to actually be aware to when you finally do wake up, it results in a mental health breakdown because you can no longer function in that way anymore because it's so dysfunctional for your health.
So you think it's worse?
It's worse now because it wasn't as obvious as slavery was. They're literally telling you bend down or we'll whip you, whereas it's done in a mental way. Like
I understand, but I'm saying what would you think harder now? Yeah, now that they're aware.
So
I guess
I have one more thing I wanted to read. If anyone has anything else to share, they can go ahead and go for it. But yeah, I just have one more thing from 280.
Just to add on to what Mary was just saying, real profound, what she was saying. Please try to, I don't know how you do it, put Band of Angels on your watch list. Have you seen that? Band of Angels?
Fan of Angels or Band of Angels?
Band of Angels starring Clark Gable and Sidney Poitier. Just in a nutshell, Clark Gable was the premier playboy of Hollywood of his time. No one has come close to Clark Gable even yet. He's the badass of all badasses in Hollywood.
It's called Band of Angels.
Yeah, band, like marching band.
Okay.
And Sidney Poitier is his HNIC, is his head Negro. And there's a scene in there where Sidney Poitier is head Negro. Hates, he explained, everybody expects that he should love his master because of how well he treats him and how much power that he gave his head Negro. But he hated it. You know, he hated his master. And so there's a scene, I won't spoil it, but there's a scene in there where Sidney Poitier very articulately explains why that is a trick to I hate him because he treats me so well. I'm his property. Oh, there's a very dynamic oration in there explaining that because it's one thing to be a beaten down slave. You know that's the enemy. You know you're being beaten down. But to be lifted up and made to feel and think and believe that you have power, but you're still a slave. That's worse. And that's what they've been able to get to accomplish, is for us not to even know we're still slaves. So now we got to get out of the bubble and break the chains. So yeah, Band of Angels, starring Clark Gable and Sidney Poitier. And I'll make sure I get away and watch that with you if you put it on the schedule.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna watch it. I love Sidney Poitier. Um, so I'm about to read from 280. This is the last thing I have. After I read this, unless if no one has anything else to read or add, we can move on to closing comments. But to me, this is really important. Um, when I'm sorry, my iPad is still all right. When both the black male and the black female take up the struggle for justice against white supremacy, they are endowed with the strongest possible assurance that they will remain united. They are united in a common effort against injustice, and simultaneously they express the strongest possible statement about respect and love for themselves as individuals. In doing this, the black male and the black female are declaring that they have conferred upon themselves the highest possible value, which is essential if there is to be self and group defense. The new answer to the black male/black female relationship dilemma is for the black male and the black female to make serious conscious struggle against white supremacy their number one priority. And my read that it's so telling because it's you want to live your life with intentions and goals, but also you want to have like you want to live in an ideal world that is safe for your reality. I know personally, I don't enjoy leaving my house and walking down the street and having just about everybody hide their bags and double check their pockets when I walk past them. I don't like being depicted as a living criminal. I don't like what has been done to my counterpart, the black woman. I don't like how they've been depicted as an overly emotional, angry being. And I hate how when a black man is talking about his reality being skewed by white supremacy, they're depicted as angry or irrational. To me, it would be irrational not to talk about my reality, honestly, especially if my reality is not comfortable or unpleasant, especially when I'm in spaces that are not welcoming to melanated beings. So that's my last quote I wanted to read from the book. Mary, I know you said you wanted to read something about on apartheid. You want to go ahead and get that in there?
First of all, that was like beautifully said. Thank you so much for sharing that, Truth. And I had already read the part that I wanted to read about apartheid. I hope that message did come through. I was just talking about how we need to call white supremacy by its name because growing up, I was aware of
So can we move on to closing comments?
I don't think Mary was done. Her screen froze.
Mary, your screen froze. Your screen froze.
What's up, Rondo?
So yeah, you wanna go? Your screen froze. That's disgraceful. Don't turn the video on. Play it back. Wow, this video is so ugly. I'm coming. Is it? Well, Ben, do you want to start off with your closing comments? I was embarrassed. Ben, you're muted. Ben, do you want to do your closing comments? And you're muted right now.
Better already. I was in basketball and I was looking at those white bitches like I used to look at myself.
I gotta. I call you right back. We're gonna close this in a minute.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye. Sorry about that.
No worries.
What's that?
Can you do your closing comments? Get your stuff sorted out.
It was a fantastic reading. Read it again. This is gonna be my go-to for my counseling. I'm gonna use this particular chapter as my go-to for counseling and the solutions for us. We have the answer here, for us to work together with our sisters to overcome this stuff. And I did have something when you were reading, I thought of that yeah, just basically what we were just discussing in that in order for us to survive and raise a civilized community of Black people, we have to get together with our women, spiritually and culturally. That's what I got from this. I love it, man. To take up the struggle together. To take up the struggle together.
Yeah, make it fun. Make it an adventure.
In fact, that's who that phone call was. I had been sharing this stuff with her, and I told her I did an experiment in the grocery store where I was mugging all the white people, right? Right, and just to see what their response, because we're so quick to smile, hi, hello, hey, be so friendly all the time, and they probably look at us like these ignorant niggas. We dogged them and murdered them and enslaved them, and they just buck dance and smile, and are so nice to us. So I said, let me just try this experiment. So I'm mean mugging all the white people in the grocery store, right? And do you know they would turn their eyes away from me as if they expected me to look at. That's how they expected me to look at them like that. So when you smile and nice to them, that's unexpected. But we don't see it that way. So I just had told a friend of mine. She said she was experimenting with that, and it's not to do things to make me feel bad about me. I'm doing anything and everything I need to do to make me feel good about me. That's all. And if it means mean mugging white people and getting out of the habit, like whenever I see Karen Bass, our congresswoman out of LA, she has this grin on her face. She's always fucking grinning. Stop smiling and grinning. Like Paul Mooney said, how come that nigger's not grinning? Why is he not grinning? Grin, nigga, grin. Stop grinning so much.
Yeah, they want you, you know, chucking and jiving, smiling, happy. Hey, master. Hey, sir. Hey, Mr. Postman. You know, hey, they want that mentality 24/7. You know, and if you don't do that, that's when like, you know, you're a problem. You know, you're acting out. You know.
That's like part of the what did she say as the solution? Patterns of perception, logic, thought, speech, action, and emotional response that counter white supremacy. And it counters the white supremacy dynamic scientifically. And that's part of it. That's part of it, having to be in the frame of mind not to be butt dancing and smiling all the time.
Oh, you too, lovely. Bye, then. See you guys later.
Okay, nice seeing you, China.
Bye.
Come to California anytime. Need some black women over here. That's why I'm single. People always, why don't you have a woman? Where's your woman? You got everything going for you. You got the house, the car, you're stable, cultural, trying to be intelligent. What's the problem? I figured it out. This is the lesbian capital of the world. Berkeley and Oakland is more than San Francisco. And all these white women, and we're the target. We're the hated ones. Black men are the hated ones. And it's all what she's talking about, because we give people a feeling, just they don't get to relax. You don't get to relax with a real. Now the like feminine black men, oh, they love them. Oh, they love the gay black men.
Yeah.
They give. Look at Don Lemon, Jonathan Capehart. All the black commentators are gay. Most of them.
But then, do you know what I think that is? Like, for one, in terms of like education, most people who are go through the education system. Academia does one thing to you: either strips you of your culture, or will make you think in a certain way that's supposed to be like progressive. And as Black women who rise in education, most times when you choose the career route or educational route, it's almost like rebelling against like the usual system that tells you you're supposed to look for a man and get married. And if you're a Black woman who's been rejected by Black men, you will end up being some form of effeminate, queer, or leaning towards not hating men, but being on the other side of not facing that in a relationship aspect thing. I noticed that a lot, and I feel like another reason why they're able to associate or be closer to effeminate men is because emotional development, like at least emotional expression, is not something that lacks in effeminate men. That's one of the reasons why they also call them effeminate, because they're in touch with their feelings. And I feel like on that level, they feel like they can communicate. It's too basic to say they can communicate more, but I just feel like they resonate or rise to the same social challenges in that aspect. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes sense. And just at the end of the day, we're threatening, they're not. They're non-threatening. We're the threatening ones. Nobody wants to feel threatened. Not that we are. Now that's a false problem if I've ever heard one. Just being Black, you're a threat. A Black male. Second threat, Black female.
Well, I agree. Totally what that's a false problem. That's not our problem. That's a white supremacist's problem. That's a you problem. That's their problem. It's not our problem, but because we have to arm ourselves and be on a defense for the offense.
It must be like hellified to have feelings of inadequacy and fear, is accompanied by fear. It's a both fear. It's a form, feelings of inadequacy is a form of fear,
Yeah.
but it's a different form, but it's still at the core of it is fear of not having what you want, or fear. There's only two fears, really. Fear of not having what you want and fear of losing what you have. And they experience both like exponentially to what any person of color could possibly feel. They probably don't even know why they have so much self-loathing. It's like a natural. I think that's why there's so much to do about. Oh, we have to quarantine now. We have to stay in. And this big change, and people are having nervous breakdowns, needing psychotherapy because they can't handle the change. And it's weakness because they're addicted to certainty, and addicted to control, and addicted to this thing. And the slightest thing that throws we're resilient. Oh, we got a lockdown. We can't go to the store. We got to do something else. Oh, okay, all right. Well, we'll stick and move. We'll adapt. you know. But this white supremacist thinking they can't adapt. They're having nervous breakdowns, suicide, divorces way through the roof, domestic violence. My class is full. You know, uh,
Yeah.
because of those feelings of inadequacy and fear.
Yep. So I already did my conclusion, and does anyone else have anything they want to conclude?
Yeah. For my closing
Like with
comments,
what Ben had just said. What were you saying, Mary?
so I was going to do my closing comments, but please do continue.
No, please go, please do.
My closing comments are just in line with is again Dr. Frances Cress Welsing being very solutionary based, and like just I want to just read the last one of the last chapters where one of the last paragraphs where she talks about Nelson Mandela and Winnie Mandela's relationship, and if we take on these practices or find or basically try our best to couple ourselves in the black man and black female relationships, or just have these relationships amongst ourselves where we are practicing this, then we will surely be on our way. But I just want to read that black males and black females will be in a continuous exchange of information, knowledge, and understanding, like true men, like true team members. That's how we need to practice and behave with each other, as if we are all team members in this massive chess game. About how to encounter white supremacy more effectively. This quality of exchange could take place as much as we exchange phone numbers, jokes, dance steps, trivia, and all too many instances, drugs. Yep. These would be much less time to look into each other's, there'll be much less time to look into each other's eyes and become bored and then start quarreling and fighting. Instead, both persons would be looking outward beyond themselves to counter local and global white supremacy, which is the real problem in annihilating the Black collective. Actually, people grow closer together as long as they remain focused outwardly in the same direction by maintaining a like-minded focus. Nelson Mandela and Willie Mandela of South Africa have evolved possibly the strongest marriage known to the black um, to black people worldwide. They deserve recognition as the model for the black male and black female relationship. They are looking outward beyond themselves to fight white supremacy by specifically fighting white supremacy, they prevent the forces of injustice from driving them apart. I thought that line in that statement was highly important. People who come together, just like with any situation, where we're bonded with our schoolmates, we're bonded with people we work with, and we will all be bonded as a people if we have this like-minded struggle in place and be aware of it. It will having this in place, practicing this in place, won't leave us to want to murder each other first. We would aim to have love for each other first, and sympathy in that place, and self-respect for each other in the place, because we all understand that we are all being oppressed under the same ruling thumb. And any pain that is inflicted by your fellow Black person is directly like as a byproduct of their environmental pressures that they're experiencing. And having that in place will truly benefit us. And that's my closing statement. And thank you again to Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. May her soul be blessed. May her work continue to be shared amongst us as a people, and may we align to this knowledge and start practicing this when pairing with our loved ones and interacting in all relationships that we have.
Thank you for sharing that, Mary. And
Yeah, thank you so much. That was so concise. That was great.
And that doesn't mean go into the churches and see. That's how when you were speaking, I was thinking, okay, common fight, common goals. What besides white supremacy? Not besides, but as a organization or as a group, where would you find the struggle to meet somebody where you can work in the struggle together? Some maybe a Black conscious a class, book study group like this. But what came to my mind was the churches, and the reason they were able to make so many Black people non-threatening was because their common cause was their church conviction, which is no threat to white supremacy. It's acquiescing and promoting white supremacy. I was thinking more of through the union struggle. You get together with your Black sister in the union struggle, and in that organization, you work through that power source to fight white supremacy. Just one weapon. It's a good school of thought. What weapons? I'm going to put that on Facebook. I see a line right here. What? You read it. You just read it. Well, I don't see it right here. But what tool we work together with? What ideas do people have to counter white supremacy?
That's a good one. That's definitely a great question to start circulating around. Because the first thing that they're gonna have to break down and construct is white supremacy. What white supremacy? And then if you just have it brackets like apartheid, white domination, these little things that associate with white supremacy, they'll stop seeing white supremacy as such a taboo word and start seeing how interwoven it is in everything that we in most cases the things that we experience.
Is everyone done? Someone stopped recording. Alrighty.
Yeah, that was a great read. I really enjoyed reading.
Likewise, we gotta just unify the Black male and the Black female. Once they unify the eventual, it means the eventual end to white supremacy.
100%. Just like Dr. Frances Cress Welsing says, Neely Fuller recommends constructive conversations amongst us, constructive work, sufficient eating and sleeping, Sexual intercourse no more than twice a week. The suggestions deserve our full consideration if energy use was limited to just these activities by each black male, female and male. Certainly we would become more responsible towards ourselves as individuals, which would translate into a more responsible interaction with one another.